So some of the best DPS rotations in-game involve the Hunter exotic Lucky Pants, which give hand cannons an escalating damage bonus when drawn at a full mag, with each stack giving 60% increased base damage up to 600%. However, this buff is only around for 5.5 seconds, so to reach max stacks you want a faster RPM hand cannon, which leans into the 180 archetype to benefit the most. But which of these is the best choice? I've collected some of the best 180s around, and some exotics which break the typical hand cannon mould to see how much damage they can produce within one Lucky Pants damage window. And to keep the results as simple as possible, these are the rules I use to test. Only shoot when the buff is active. Once the damage boost, regardless of stacks, leaves the buff bar, stop firing even if there's ammo remaining in the mag. Don't use any external damage boosts. This includes weapon surges, Ember of Torches which gives radiant, or any weaken effects or weapon swaps. For energy hand cannons, I use a subclass which matches their element. This is needed for Lucky Pants to proc. Kinetic hand cannons work on any subclass. For any body shots I hit during a damage rotation, I use that weapon's crit multiplier to adjust to a perfect scenario of damage output. All legendary weapons I use have a boss spec equipped. So do understand, while the numbers in this video are not in their millions like some combination of supers and other weapon swaps, this is just supposed to be showing which hand cannon would fit the best into a damage rotation. This is before the Season 22 hand cannon buff 2, however that only affects minor enemies giving plus 25% and major enemies giving plus 75%. Boss damage will remain unchanged. So let's get it started with some of the best legendary 180 RPM hand cannons currently available. First, the 7th Seraph Office Revolver, with Vorpal Weapon for a 20% damage increase versus bosses. This hit for a total of 290k damage, and adjusted for perfect crits, a total of 311k. Not too bad. Remember that kinetic weapons also deal 10% more damage versus unshielded enemies. Next, we have the Posterity. This will only function on the Arc Hunter subclass and has Frenzy for a 15% damage increase. This role also has Volt Shot in the third column, but this will not come into play during this test. The total damage output here was 183k, and adjusted for perfect crits, 223k. The difference between kinetic and energy weapons is apparent here, also the fact that Frenzy deals less damage than Vorpal Weapon. For the last legendary option, I wanted to try out a trust with Golden Tricorn, as this gives a huge 50% damage boost. It requires a little setup, so not always viable, but if you have easy to clear adds nearby, it can work. Proccing Golden Tricorn times 2 did significantly cut into the time that Lucky Pants damage boost provides, but we still managed an impressive 274k damage, adjusted to 290k with perfect crits. And now for our exotic options. The Malfeasance is the most common pairing with Lucky Pants, and for very good reason. It has passive extra damage with its slug explosions, and recently given Vorpal Weapon as its catalyst. It is also a kinetic weapon, so receives a 10% bonus base damage. This one hit for a staggering 323k, and adjusted for perfect crits, 351k. It also gets even better if you're against a taken enemy, as Malfeasance also does an extra 25% versus them. Enemies currently affected by Witherhoard are also classed as taken for this effect. If this is the case, it will bring up the total to 439k. The next exotic is the Crimson, another popular pairing with Lucky Pants, as it fires in a 3-round burst for quick stacks. This one dealt a total of 180k, adjusted to 204k for perfect crits. It's sitting a fair bit below Malfeasance, but still very viable. Eriana's Vow works a little differently with Lucky Pants, each stack providing 30% increased base damage rather than the regular 60%. But Eriana's by default hits very hard, so any benefit is extremely powerful. Eriana's hit for a total of 250k. Not bad at all, but do remember this weapon will use special ammo, and as it is not kinetic, will only work with the Solar Hunter subclass. Now we're going to try a few bit more weird options. First up, Last Word, but only 225 RPM hand cannon. But unfortunately this one empties its mag so quickly it cuts into the damage window quite a bit. Its outgoing damage is nothing special either, hitting for 79k or 89k with perfect crits. Don't really bother using this one. Finally, I tried the Sturm with overcharged rounds. Dim stated that this will not function with Lucky Pants, but I'm not sure if anyone's even used this thing in forever, so maybe it works now. I gave it a go, but Dim was unfortunately right and there was no escalating damage. It hit for 157k with all overcharged rounds though, which isn't too shabby, and this would be 176k with perfect crits. But of course, if you are using this, don't pair it with the Lucky Pants. So what can we take from this? Malfeasance is certainly still king, but there are some pretty close competitors if you're not against taken targets. 7th Seraph is great for the kinetic slot if you want to use an exotic elsewhere. The legendary energy hand cannons of Trust and Posterity also should not be underrated. They offer competitive damage and free up the kinetic slot. As you're using Lucky Pants, it's likely this is part of a damage rotation, and this opens up some strong options such as Izanagi's Burden or Witherhoard. Just remember to match your subclass, otherwise you'll get no benefit at all. It goes without saying, but Lucky Pants is and will be a very strong option. Add 75% to these numbers, and this is how much damage you'll be doing to champions next season in just a 5-second window. If Malfeasance is included in this buff, which I think it should be, it will be absolutely insane in GM content, but if not, the other options are still more than strong enough. So that's all I've got on the options available for Lucky Pants. Thank you for watching.